Okay, good morning, Manjit and Khushi, Swati. Wait for some time being, let people to join, okay? Okay, at first take out your books, okay? The last chapter, correlation chapter, okay? Wait for some time being, students, let more people to join. Okay, today we will be doing the chapter correlation. Now, what is this correlation chapters all about? All the previous chapters, or in the arithmetic meaning, central tendency, arithmetic mean, median, and mode, we have seen these students. There are only one variable, which is x. There are no y variable, isn't it? Only one variable. We have done the sums with only one variable, which is known as what? Which is known as univariate, which is known as univariate distribution. When we do sums with the help of only one variable, it is known as univariate distribution. With single variable, when we do the sums with single variable, it is known as univariate distribution. Now, when we do sums with the help of two variables, which is x and y, which is known as bivariate distribution. Now, in this chapter, we will do sums with the help of two variables. So in the sums, there will be two variables, x and y, and with the help of those variables, we will do what? We will do the sum, which is known as bivariate. Now come to the word correlation. Correlation. What is this? Okay, Sakti, good morning. Correlation. What is this? Now, in this chapter, we will relate x variable with y variable. Or we can say, most prominently, we can tell it that when we relate x variable with y variable, or when we find out the relation between x and y, that is known as what? Correlation. We will come to the definition at first. Correlation analysis studies the relation between two variables. As the summer heat rises, one example they have given, it will be much more clear to you with the help of this example. Let us read this one. As the summer heat rises, hill stations are crowded with more and more visitors. Ice cream sales become more brisk, means become more important. Thus, the temperature is related to the number of visitors and sale of ice cream. Since the temperature is high, that's why visitors are crowding more. That's why sale of ice cream is also more. Okay. Similarly, As the supply of tomatoes increases in our local mandi, its price drops. Akbar, good morning. When the local harvest starts reaching the market, the price of tomatoes drops from a princely rupees 40 per kg to rupees 4 per kg or even less. Thus, supply is related to price. So, at the first example, we are seeing there hill visitors and sale of ice cream is related to the temperature. As the temperature is high, the more is the importance of visitors crowding the hill station areas. More importance the ice cream selling is going up. So there is one relation. Now supply of tomato also has one relation. Deepika, good morning. Supply of tomato also has one relation. What is the relation? As the supply of tomato going high and high, its price is falling. So supply also has some relation with price. So correlation analysis is a means for examining such relationships systematically. It deals with questions such as, is there any relationship between two variables? What are the two variables? X and Y. So in this chapter, we will go through this type of questions. Is any relation between X and Y? Second question, if the value of one variable changes, does the value of other variable also changes? Rekha, good morning. Third, do both the variable move in the same direction? Or next question, how strong the relationship is? So this type of questions come. Okay, this type of questions come up. Okay, and who are those two variables for which we are doing these questions? X and Y, both these variables. Okay, now there is certain importance of correlation. First of all, measurement of relationship facilitates regression, facilitates decision making, formulation of policies. All these are there. Now we will come to types of correlation. There are different types of correlation. First of all, come up with a diagram on the basis of direction of change, on the basis of degrees of change, on the basis of number of variable. There are three types or kinds. Now, what is on the basis of direction of change? What is this one? There are positive correlation, there are negative correlation. On the basis of degrees of change, linear correlation, non-linear correlation. On the basis of number of variables, simple, partial, multiple correlation. So we'll come one by one at a time just to see what is there in all these things. First of all, we'll come to the direction of change, positive, negative. What happens to positive? When one variable increases and the other decreases. Means one will decrease, okay, and the other will increase. So. When one variable increases, the other variable also decreases, and when one variable decreases, other variable also decreases. Means both will be behaving same and same. That is known as positive correlation. What is negative correlation? When one variable increases, the other variable decreases, or when one variable decreases, other variable decreases. Means when both the variables behave in a opposite direction, increase, decrease, decrease, increase. So it is a negative correlation. Now, on the basis of degree of change, what is linear and non-linear? Linear. The correlation is said to be linear if the ratio of change between two variables is constant or fixed. Is if the ratio of change between two variables is constant or fixed. In other words, there is proportionate change in the values of the two variables. So if there are two variables x and y, if del x by del y is the ratio is constant, it will be a linear correlation. Means when this ratio, del x by del y is a ratio, no? When it is constant, it is known as a linear correlation. Ritesh, good morning. Okay. Now students, there is one important word also. See, if two sets of data having fixed proportion are plotted on the graph paper, this relationship will be indicated by a straight line. So what is told? What is told here? It's told here that when two sets of data having fixed proportion means by a fixed proportion way, when two variables are plotted in the graph, that relation will be indicated through a straight line. It is also known as what? Perfect correlation. Sometimes it comes for 1 month. Okay, perfect correlation. Now, what is this non-linear correlation? The correlation is said to be non-linear if the ratio of change between two variables is not constant. Means both the variables are changing, but the ratio between these two variables are not constant. It is fluctuating. In other words, there is no proportionate or fixed change in the values of two variables. Okay, so if there are two variables x and y, then if del x by del y is not constant, it will be non-linear correlation. Understood? So now these are all the linear and non-linear correlation. Now we will come to on the basis of number of variables. On this case, we will see simple correlation, we will see partial correlation, we will see multiple correlation. Okay, now under simple correlation, when only two variables are involved in the statistical study and the relationship between only these two variables is studied, it is called simple correlation. Now, in a sum, if we deal with only two variables, not more than that, only two variables, and we just decide or we just discuss about the relationship between these two variables, it will be taken as a simple correlation. Partial correlation. When more than two variables are involved, this much is okay, we can understand. When more than two variables are involved in a sum or to correlate, to find out the relation, that will be what? Partial correlation. Multiple correlation. When more than two variables are involved in the statistical study and the relationship among all these variables is studied simultaneously, it is called multiple correlation. Means side by side you are discussing all the variables. Side by side you are discussing all the variables, just comparing all the variables at a time, finding out the relation between all the variables at a time. It is known as multiple correlation. There are degree of correlation. Now this degree of correlation are of three kinds: perfect correlation, absence of correlation, limited degree of correlation. What is perfect correlation? When two variables change, increase or decrease in the same proportion, it is called perfect correlation. Perfect correlation may be positive or negative. So what is told? It is told here that two variable changes, when two variable changes in the same proportion, means in the same way when two variable changes. In the same proportion, when two variable changes, it is known as what? Perfect correlation. Now this perfect correlation may be positive or may be negative. Okay. Now it may be perfect positive, it may be perfect negative. Okay. Next we will come to absence of correlation. What is this? When there is no relation between the two variables, or when change in one variable does not result in a corresponding change in other variables. It is called absence of correlation or zero correlation. Remember, when there is no change or when there is absence of change, absence of correlation between the variables, it is known as what? No relation or absence of correlation or zero correlation. Okay, then limited degree of correlation. It refers to a situation when a change in one variable need not be exactly accompanied by a corresponding change in the other variable. What is told here? It is told here that when there is change in one variable, need not be exactly accompanied. Exactly accompanied means it may be the same or it may be different. Corresponding change in other variable. Okay, now in this we will meet high degree correlation, moderate degree correlation and low degree correlation. Okay, now high degree correlation lies between 0.75 and 1, means the value of variables will lie between, or the correlation coefficient will lie between 0.75 and 1. Then it will be called as high degree correlation. What is moderate degree of correlation? When coefficient of correlation lies between 0.25 and 0.75, it will be known as what? Moderate degree of correlation. Low degree of correlation, when coefficient of correlation lies between 0 and 0.25, means in between these two values, then it is known as low degree correlation. Okay, now this thing is important, high, moderate and low, because in the sum, sometimes it is being asked, after getting your answer, it will be asked, discuss about the degree of correlation, whether it is high, whether it is moderate or whether it is low. So by seeing the answer or seeing the value of the answer, you have to judge that whether it is a high degree correlation, moderate degree correlation or low degree of correlation. Okay, now degrees are perfect, high, moderate, low, no correlation. It is told you the table is also given here. If you want, you can take it from this video. You can write later also with the help of this video. Now, there are methods of estimating correlation. Correlation can be measured by different methods. What are those? First one is your scatter diagram method. Second one is your Karl-Pearson's coefficient of correlation method. Third is Spearman's rank correlation coefficient method. So, among these three methods, only these two methods are there in your syllabus, scatter and Karl-Pearson. Spearman's rank correlation coefficient is not there in your syllabus. Okay? Okay. Now we will come to scatter diagram. Scatter diagram is a simple method of measuring correlation. It is a graphic presentation of relationship between two variables. It offers direction and degree of change between two variables graphically. First, estimation of correlation. Data presenting the given variables are plotted on the graph paper. Here, to do this, use this method, scatter diagram, you have to have a graph paper. Okay, how? Let us see. There are two types: perfect positive correlation, perfect negative correlation. Okay, now here you will get a sum and you have to plot the sum. After plotting the sum, you have to draw a line by joining those dots. And if you see that the diagram is just going upward, straight upward, you can tell it as that it is a positive correlation type. Perfect positive. It is not moving here and there. It is just going straight forward upward. Now, if a sum, after plotting, you see that a diagram is getting fully down, you can tell it as a negative, perfect negative correlation. Okay, now positive correlation and negative correlation, there are certain things. Okay, now see students, after plotting, these are the dots. After getting a sum, you have to plot the dots in this manner. Then just close to those dots, you have to draw a line. You can see students, the dots are moving upward. With the help of that line or by seeing those dots only, you can able to tell that sir, the dots are moving upward. Means it's having a positive degree of correlation. It is having a positive and a high degree of positive correlation. All the dots are very close to each other and they are just upward rising. Okay, when dots are very close, we will tell high degree of correlation. And it is moving upward, that's why positive. Here in the next diagram, you can see that the dots are moving upward, but they are scattered with each other, isn't it? Compared to this sum. So this is a low degree of positive correlation, means the dots are, yet they are moving upward, but they are not close to each other. So it's a low degree of positive correlation. Now negative correlation. Now see, the dots are close to each other, but it is moving downward. It is a high degree of negative correlation, not positive. Since it is falling down, it is negative. But since the dots are close to each other, it is a high degree. Here in the sum, you can see the dots are falling down. So it's a negative. But they are not close to each other. So it's a low degree of negative correlation. Okay. Absence of correlation or no correlation. When you cannot able to judge, when you cannot able to tell what is the relation between X and Y, then there is no correlation or absence of correlation. Here also we can see that the dots are there in the diagram, but you cannot able to correlate. You cannot able to tell that what is the scenario of this. You can able to tell, you can able to correlate, you can able to judge the relationship between X and Y. No, with the help of this sum, with the help of this diagram. So there is an absence of correlation in this. This is one method. We'll see sums later on. We are coming Karl-Pearson's coefficient of correlation, which is very, very important, which is denoted by small r. Karl-Pearson's coefficient of correlation is denoted by small r. Now, calculation. How to calculate Karl-Pearson's coefficient? There are several methods. Actual mean method, direct method, shortcut method, state deviation method. We'll do one by one method at a time. All the methods will give us same result. Okay, but just to do what? Just to see what variables are given to us in the sum, what data are provided to us. With the help of those data or with the help of seeing those data, we will decide which method we will follow. Okay, so next day we will start with this Carl Pearson coefficient of correlation. Today, up till this much only. Wait for 1 second. Let me take the attendance of those who are present. Okay, thank you everyone for joining the class. Okay, good morning once again. Those are present here. Have a nice day.